her daughter married the sons of Europe after being so lavish in the Roman Empire, ended up being they call them the barbarian.
I was just gonna say, like, you know your history, obviously, like, would you agree it's pretty cyclical, just empires rising and falling, right?
Always.
Absolutely.
Nobody. And look, there's also a good point about when you travel abroad. There's some point you don't want to talk about it. Like for example, when you go to Japan, you might as well you don't want to talk about that. And when you go to China, you don't want to talk about that the Mughals, that grandson of Genghis Khan. If you know Genghis Khan, they say he was the strongest man on the planet. He was ruthless. His grandson actually invaded China, and matter of fact, he made Beijing the capital of China, which still is. Back then, before that happens, there was the capital city of China was Thailand. Right now, it's on the south by the sea. So they changed a lot. When you bring that to Chinese people, Chinese want to leave that from their history too much. They don't like it too much. They don't like to bring it up a lot. A lot of people like that. Argentinians are very egotistic as well. If you tell them, I couldn't be really straightforward about also problems with them. You wouldn't like. A lot of people wouldn't like to hear you criticize their countries. However, I see it a way of tolerance, and I see it very smart to actually listen to your country being criticized, but not to a degree where you listen to it very normally. That should be fine. Any more questions? Stace.
Well, you said you are going back and want to be a politician. What are some of the things that you really feel strong about that you want to, at least start to try to change or implement or something?
First of all, religion and state. Split them up. Don't come to me as a priest or as a sheikh or whatever, and come talk to me about politics because you tell me a biblical story to try to prove to me about economic something. No, if you want to prove me an economic point, well, show me graphs, show me like good material stuff that I can hold in my hands. Not tell me a story about Abraham which is fine with me. I love the biblical stories. I love them. My granddad used to tell it to me when I was a little kid. I love them all, but don't prove to me in terms of politics and economics. That's number one. I would do to totally split state and religion, because listen. The Europeans never had enlightenment until actually they split out of the church. It was the Dark Ages. The Pope controlled it. It was dark. Matter of fact, in the Middle East at that time, they used to wear silk and spices and gold. Europeans were living in shacks pretty much at that time. That's so true. And whenever they got the Enlightenment, starting from the 16th century, when they left the church, pretty much. Why? Because the Pope wanted to control him. He didn't want him to get a lot of education. He doesn't want the scientists to look at the stars and think about astrology, and he doesn't want that, because when you think about it, he becomes smart and then you will overcome him. So he loses his power. So he would always want you just praying and doing that. So whenever they got out of the church, they started thinking. Philosophers came out, and medicine came out. Like people started treating each other. Back then, if you got sick, you'd go to a priest to pray for you. So that's very critical to me, to actually split state and religion. And second of all, build a little tolerance. I think in Egypt they lack terms of tolerance in terms of Muslims, Christians, and Jews. They feel that Egypt is a Muslim country, which it absolutely isn't. Like the majority of the time, Egypt really wasn't a Muslim country. So they think like, all right, well, let the Christians go away, because you know what, they don't want to follow our rules. The Christians were actually older than the Muslims in Egypt. Fact. So I don't like this kind of stuff. So I have a long way to go. Matter of fact, I could totally be shot. In so many ways, like shot like that, I'm shot like that. So they don't like these kind of people like me. They don't want me to come back, even though I could help a lot. I'm really willing to teach my country a lot. I'm really willing to. It really isn't for money for me, because my family is okay with money. So I'm not doing it for the money. I'm just doing it really for the history and just for the sake of this good country to go in those hands.
So do you think Morsi is going to keep the power with the judicial?
I don't know. It's nobody knows really. If you've been following the news, well, they're protesting against the new regime, I guess. So we don't really know. I think he's not going to keep it for long. However, it's really irony. Like the irony part of it, that the international community, the United States and Israel and whatnot, and Europe, they actually praised Morsi for his negotiation effort with the Israelis and Palestine. And But in Egypt, they thought he was bad. Even though before that, the Egypt thought he was good. So really, it's an irony.
Is he a
hard.
moderate?
Is he what?
Is he a moderate? What would you
He
consider?
is a moderate, but I don't believe in religion and politics. He's a moderate. In terms of like those crazy Muslims, yes, that's he's a moderate. That's a moderate, but not enough for me. Not good enough.
So you think he's still gonna go kind of the way Khomeini did with Iran?
No. No, I hope not. I can't even step in Egypt after that. I really hope not. No, I doubt if they will because he can't do that. Egypt is something else, and plus America and the international community can't let that happen because Egypt is such a leader in this region. It's the most populous country, and Arabs always follow in anything. So if Egypt becomes that, then you got a whole 300 million or I don't know 500 million people following this regime. No, you're gonna that's World War III for you.
So what's the balance right now between Egypt and Iran? Because Iran is also very strong in the Middle East
True.
right now and causing a lot of
Iran is
upset.
a huge topic. Honestly, I don't know where to start on that one. Iran is a huge topic. Iran basically, the enemy of Iran is Israel. Not so much the United States. But when the United States step in and says, you're going to come to me before going to Israel, well, you're in the way. But it really, Iran really doesn't have too much problems with Israel. Matter of fact, with the United States. Europeans as well. Europeans, they only do sanctions on Iran just because Barack Obama was just talking too much. But really, Europeans, they didn't care either. They like to buy their oil. Actually, matter of fact, we pay. Like I was always saying that back 8 months ago when the gas prices were just up high here in California. I was like, God, why you put sanctions on Iran when you make like us living here to pay so much more in the gas? You understand why do we pay more? Because when you let's say for example the whole world produces 100 barrels a day, for example, and Iran only puts 20 in, pitches 20. So if you take that 20, you end up with 8. So what happens when the supply goes down, the prices goes up? That's what happens to us. So you pretty much, yes, you sanction them, yes, you kind of punish them, but you punish your people as well. I don't think it was the most effective way. And still Iran is doing what they're doing and still developing their nuclear powers. And they will develop, and I can fully see that. Stacey.
This is kind of off topic, but it just relates to, you said that your mom's, like, when you want to bring your girlfriend, she was very like, what do people think, this and that. What does your family think about you wanting to be so into politics and obviously against what a lot of people think? It's kind of
really funny.
interesting.
Honestly, I wanted to become a politics even before the revolution. And when I used to tell them that, they used to just laugh, Like literally, I remember that whole day we were sitting on a big family dinner, and I just came from Europe, I believe, and so they doing that dinner for me, just a welcome back kind of dinner. And so everybody was just talking, the men were talking politics, the women were talking cooking and whatnot, and we were just like, everybody was asking me, because I was growing up at that time, like last time they told me I was a little kid, and I'd come, so they were interested in what I was trying to do, so I was like, yeah, I want to be a minister, a prime minister, or something like that. Rub your head, and like, but now when I sit with them and I say what I say, and I talk what I talk, they look at me like that. In fact, I was just in a wedding with one of my cousins, and the biggest guy of our family, like almost kind of like the Godfather. And he came to me at the wedding. I shook hands with him, and he's like, "Oh, good to see you." He told me, "I heard you're coming. I heard you're coming. That means you're going on that path, of getting up there in the family." So yeah, it's exciting.
I was just gonna say, like, what was your perception about like Americans before, and then now, like, what is it now?
As I told you, the high class society in the Arab world, they travel a lot. We speak different languages, we travel, we eat, we drink, so we know a lot about different countries. And the first time I came to the city was 1999. I was 10 years old at that time, and I went to Six Flags, and I went to Disney, and I thought America was the coolest freaking place ever. Like, I loved it. I spoke English at that time. I was 10 years old, so I could buy Pepsi. I was like, hey, can I get that? So it was really cool to me. I bought the Nike shorts. So I thought America was the coolest thing ever. And so I knew America then. Like when I started living here in 2008. There was nothing really shocking, except that I grew up and I started analyzing stuff like, why do Americans do this? Why do they do that? Why are they tolerant here but intolerant there? Like, America has a taboo, which is called socialism. if you bring that word socialism to Americans, it's just like, oh, no, like we hate it, like this is not the right thing. And that's because the government made the Americans feel that way about Russia, the communism and whatnot back then in the Cold War, and even before that as well. And you would actually prosecute communists out here. So the Americans really, so there's taboos no matter where you go. However, like, the irony is that the best alive of America is who? Pretty much Europe. And Europe are all socialists. Most of them, actually, well, yeah, most of them are socialism, you know, so you find taboos everywhere. So I started, when I came here in America, when I grew up, I started analyzing stuff like, why did they do that, and America's really cool in terms of, like, if you walk the streets, there's no standard look for Americans. In any country in the world you'd ever go to Holland, or go to Germany, you'll find at least a standard look, like 60-70% of the people walking down the street would look the same. A white, tall person with blonde hair, each the same thing, a brown, you know. That's true, you'll find at least like 60% standard look. And you'll find that
I live in Amsterdam, so we have a lot
Moroccan
of different
immigrants and stuff, yeah, I know.
ethnicities, too,
But I mean, there is a standard look for the Dutch people and the Germans. But here in America, really, when you walk the street, everybody looks different. The brown, the white, black. That makes it really cool. Yeah. Any more questions? Let's go home.
So you'll give one to
Yeah.
You don't have basketball.
maybe you had
I never worked out, and I work in like very attractive, so I can't go.
This okay. Did you show me another time, bro? I know.
Yeah,
how
just stop
I know
walking,
how
you know?
feel, bro.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, dude. I wish I could sit talk to you all day, bro. Like I can listen to you.
drink, man.
Oh, see, I'm down.
Okay, you're not leaving with your stuff, right, Moody?
Oh, I am. Oh my god, I'm
Somebody's been drinking already. This